Now, vitamin D is so important for us. So many more studies are happening now showing the importance of vitamin D. 900 things in our body are affected by our vitamin D levels, which is huge. So that means that 900 processes going on in your body require vitamin D. Now, if you live in the northern hemisphere, in that higher latitude where it's colder more often, then kind of 8-9 months of the year, we do not have enough sunlight to get adequate vitamin D levels to keep us healthy. So what does this mean? Well, it means that it's best to supplement. And people often say to me, well, why is it that in the olden days this wasn't the case? Well, in the olden days, people were outside an awful lot more. People were in their gardens, tending their gardens. People didn't live at computer screens, under fluorescent strip lights, in concrete. There was a much more outdoor life, and that's why maybe vitamin D levels weren't affected so much then as they are now. Also, with the advent of sun creams, some of these do block the absorption of the vitamin D as well. So vitamin D comes from the sun and it goes onto your skin. Now, the type of vitamin D made from the sun hitting your skin is D3. So 90% of the vitamin D in your body is D3. The other form of vitamin D is D2. Now, this comes more from plants than from actual sunlight. So both are great, but the vitamin D3 is the most important. And it's been shown that 87% of the uptake of the vitamin D3 is 87% more potent in the uptake than D2. So D3 is the way to go. And it's also been shown that the D3 can be stored for longer in the body. So this is all great stuff that we need to know, really important for us to look at. So obviously, when you start looking at vitamin D and levels in our bodies and how it all works, it can get very confusing. What make do I take? What dosage? All of this is a potential minefield for people. If you want to check with your doctor, you can get a vitamin D test done really easily to see what level you're at. In 2011, there was a study done by someone called Henny. And what he showed within this study was that the optimum levels for vitamin D in the body were ideally between 120 and 225. This is the serum level in the blood. So this is what this guy showed. Generally, if you go to the doctors, they'll say anything over 50 is adequate. Below 50, you are considered deficient in this country. The range of deficiencies vary from country to country. So when we were in India many years ago, I got my vitamin D levels checked, and it was a huge surprise to me because I'm a sun worshipper. I love being out in the sun, and yet my vitamin D levels were at 39. Now, in India, that was considered fine because between 30 and 50 is their kind of you're okay. Below 30, you're deficient. Now, in a lot of studies that I've seen, 150 is where we want to be optimizing our vitamin D. So this is the kind of area that we want to be sitting at most of the time for optimum health. And obviously, Henny's study in 2011 showed you could go up to 225. So there's room for more movement within the body. So what does that mean to you when you're taking supplements, and how do you dose those supplements? And also, why is it that vitamin D is so important? Studies have shown, as I said, 900 functions, but we're looking at bone health, we're looking at immune function, we're looking at the cell cycles, we're looking at muscle strength. So athletes, lots of studies have been done on athletes and them improving their muscle strength through taking vitamin D. Hormone health linked to vitamin D, fertility linked to adequate levels of vitamin D. Mental health, vitamin D. So loads and loads of things. Those are a few of the main categories so that you can get an idea of just how profound vitamin D can be on our system. So you're taking vitamin D3. Ideally, you want to have it with K2. This comes from greens, and this ups the absorption of it in your system. So vitamin D3 with K2 is the ideal form that you want to have it in. So what I recommend is that if you want to make sure you've got adequate levels, and this has been studied again, Henny showed that this was a really good version to take. There's a great book by someone called Philip Day, and it's a book just about vitamin D. That's an amazing thing to check out, Philip Day's book on vitamin D, because that goes into great detail about the importance of vitamin D. So, 2 different ways you can do it. You can do it slower or quicker, obviously. What I recommend is 10,000 IUD over 4 to 6 weeks, and then you drop down to 4,000 or 6,000 IUD a day to maintain that level. So the burst of the 10,000 IUD ups your standing so that you've got a good solid amount, and then you maintain it, women at 4,000, men at 6,000, and you maintain it at that level throughout the winter. So this is a great thing to do. Obviously, getting out in the sun is really important to get our vitamin D. The more you can get out in the sun and bathe in the sun, you know, as much skin exposure to the sun as possible is what we want. That's the optimum. And then you don't want to then go and wash with soap straight away, because what happens is vitamin D hits, the sun hits the skin, and vitamin D comes up from inside our body and forms these little oil droplets on the skin. The skin then absorbs those oil droplets over 48 hours, and what happens then is it is utilized. So soap and oil, what happens? It disperses, doesn't it? So you've got nice and hot and sweaty outside, then you come in and you scrub soap all over your body. You're dispersing a lot of that vitamin D that your body would want to uptake. So wash with water, use soap under your arms and bits like that, but you don't need to use soap all over your body. That's the key if you've been out in the sun. Getting out in the sun is so key. If they say if you've had 30 minutes of sun exposure around midday, that's equivalent to approximately 10,000 IUD of vitamin D. So you can see the importance and the impact of that vitamin D in our system from that. So, as I said, a good dosage for women to maintain your levels, 4,000 IUD. Now, this is where it can be a bit confusing. So, vitamin D, there are 2 measurements that it's shown in. So, IU is the international units, and the other thing that you might see is like a funny little U with a G, and that is a microgram. So, 1,000 IUD equals 25 micrograms. So 5,000 IUD is 125 micrograms. 10,000 IUD would be 250 micrograms. So those are the 2 different units that you'll see vitamin D being sold in. Now, my 2 favourite ones, I have these both on my website. This is by Vivo Life, vitamin D3, vegan D3 with K2 complex. Now, half a pipette of this is a 2,000 IUD with the K2. So it's really easy. You just go like this, fill it up. So that's half a pipette. Straight in the mouth, tastes lovely, and boom, you've got your 2,000. So do that twice a day and you've got your 4,000 IUD. The other one that's great is Credence vitamin D supplement. Again, I have this on my website, and this is again 2,000 IUD. These are vegan, it's a vegan formula. So 2,000 IUD, so you would take 2 of these again if you were maintaining your levels. Doesn't matter if you take it in morning and evening. I prefer taking vitamin D in the morning personally, because it's almost like as the sun rises, so you put the vitamin D, the sunshine, into the body to energize and uplift you. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video about vitamin D. As I said, there's some great ones on my website, or you can get out in the sun as much as you can. That's a great thing to do whilst we still have it. But as we hit those winter months, make sure that you're supplementing if you're in colder regions.